So New England quarterback, brand new New England quarterback, the third overall quarterback, Drake Maye, reportedly had his worst day of training camp yesterday on Monday, and as well as it was the first padded practice for the New England Patriots. According to reports, he only completed one pass during two 11-on-11 drills, which was a slant to Javon Baker that was nearly broken up. Meanwhile, Jacoby Brissett separated himself pretty nicely between the competition of maybe Drake Maye starting versus Jacoby Brissett starting, which actually brings up, I'm going to bring up the clip right now. We have to remember, we talked about this on Friday. Judon Mayo spoke about who was going to be the starting quarterback of the Patriots, or at least who looks like the starting quarterback. Let's play that clip right now. This is Judon Mayo saying who is the starting quarterback currently of the New England Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of the spring, I don't think there's any doubt Jacoby is the starting quarterback at this point in time. I mean, we can look at these other quarterbacks on the roster. At the same time, like it's about competition. And so when we get out on the field this summer with the pads on, we'll see how it all plays out. But, coming out of the spring, I think it's clear that Jacoby is the most pro-ready guy we have and play a lot of football.
So, how concerned are you for this edition, the 2024-2025 edition of the New England Patriots?
Well, I said they'd be lucky to win 4 games. So, I'm not expecting much from them. And so far, they're proving it. I do think that Drake Maye is taking the wrong approach with Drake Maye. To just stand up there and say, well, Brissett's the starter. It's obvious from the spring, and we'll have to see what happens in the summer with these other quarterbacks. He doesn't even mention Drake Maye as a number 3 pick in the draft. Come on, he was a very highly touted guy. You don't see the other coaches saying that about their rookie quarterbacks. They're building them up. They're giving some good comments in the press conferences. I think that's a mistake by Drake Maye, and I think it hurts a young quarterback's confidence when they step out onto the field. And it's obvious with Drake Maye. You mentioned some of his stats. He had a terrible practice on Sunday, and it was even worse on Monday. He did have spotty pass protection, though, and he was pressured a lot. And one of his passes was dropped, so you have to take that into consideration. He slipped on one incompletion. He struggled with accuracy. He threw an interception to Duggar on 7-on-7s. In 11-on-11s, he had 3 handoffs and a sack. First round, 11-on-11 the second time around. 1 of 5, 2 sacks. 7-on-7s, 2 of 6 with a pick. He has flashes of immense talent, but he rushes his throws, his spotty accuracy, too many pre-snap penalties. It's typical of a rookie, and so I don't take too much from it right now, but I do think the coaching staff should be a little more positive about him. They did draft him number 3 to be their long-term quarterback. Jacoby Brissett is a journeyman quarterback. He has played well in the preseason so far, but we're just getting started. I mean, he had deep completions to Baker and Thornton. He has the best command of the offense, but he's a veteran quarterback. He's a 9-year pro. He had good protection, better than Mays, right? He ran the offense efficiently. He was 8-9 with 2 sacks, 11-on-11s. He was in 11-on-11s and 4 of 6 in the 7-on-7s. He rarely made poor decisions out there. So, I agree that it's probably going to be Brissett to start the season. We'll see how he does. I mean, if you look at his career, he's someone that has some good games, but has never played up to be a consistent number 1 quarterback with good stats and great decision making. So I see him out there for some of the games. If the Patriots are really stinking it up, which it looks like they might, then maybe Drake Maye will get in.
I don't agree with Bill Belichick on a lot because I think his decision making when it comes to offensive talent and offensive drafting, this isn't even opinion. This is an objective reality. Belichick has done a horrible job drafting offense. But something Belichick said that he would have done, or what at least has been reported that Belichick would have done, is he was going for Judon Daniels. That's who he had on his eye. And what I've said on the show before that report even came out, I like Judon Daniels for the Patriots to draft. I didn't like Drake Maye. I said if Drake Maye is the highest quarterback available at 3, trade back because he's a project. The scouting report said you could compare him to Mac Jones. And by the way, funnily enough, we actually had NBC Sports Boston's Michael Holley said that during these training camp sessions, quote, we saw the ghost of Mac Jones versus Dallas. Remember Mac Jones' horrible game where he had a basically a width of the field throw, cross field throw that got pick sixth, I believe? Yeah, that's not good for a rookie quarterback. Belichick, but we're talking about Belichick. He didn't like Maye's lack of experience. This is a quote. He hasn't played very much. He doesn't really have a lot of experience. He's going to need some work in reading defenses, reading coverages. He's kind of quick to bail out of the pocket. He's going to need to hang in there a little bit longer and find those receivers. Drake compares himself a lot to Josh Allen. We'll see about that. There are some similarities in terms of size, but Josh Allen is a special player. This is a kid that can make all the throws. He just needs to be more consistent. Well, it's kind of an unfortunate situation for Drake Maye because he's on the New England Patriots, who currently have some of the worst offensive unit rankings in the NFL. 30th in quarterback, 30th in offensive line, 32nd in receivers, 24th in running backs. The Patriots are just not a good offensive team. Defensively, they're perfectly fine. They got a lot of talent. Now, some is actually missing, one due to blood clots, that's Christian Barmore, and another one is due to a holdout because of a contract situation. And I'm going to talk about that actually in a little bit from now. But the Patriots are in a very tough spot because you have a rookie quarterback who you drafted number 3 overall. Now, I could be wrong. I very well could be wrong. But when I think of quarterbacks drafted 3rd overall, I don't usually consider them projects. I don't consider them so inexperienced that the gap between them and a career backup, a 9-year veteran who's been a backup basically his entire career, the gap is so wide, and that's for a 3rd overall quarterback. Trey Lance wasn't that far behind Jimmy Garoppolo. The next season, it was supposed to be his team. And that's Jimmy Garoppolo, who made an NFC Championship game and a Super Bowl. And the gap was a 1-year gap, and it wasn't even that close in training camp because they used him as a utility player throughout the season. This gap seemingly is monumental between a career backup and the 3rd overall pick.
They've had 5 practices.
I don't.
Come on. They don't have 5 practices.
Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy, the quarterbacks in this draft. Jaden Daniels Dan Quinn hasn't announced it, but he basically has the starting job. Caleb Williams already has the starting job. J.J. McCarthy, he's going to be the number 2, but they knew that. Bo Nix has shocked everybody apparently on the Denver Broncos. Meanwhile, some people thought he would be good, including me. But Bo Nix is the starter, basically. That's what a bunch of the reports saying. Zach Wilson has taken a step back. Jarrett Stidham really has no shot. Bo Nix is their guy. That's in this draft class, let alone previous draft classes. Kenny Pickett was the only first-round quarterback in the 2022 draft class. He wasn't that good to begin with. His first game, he threw 3 interceptions. There really was no competition there. For Drake Maye to be this far behind Jacoby Brissett, for me, is pretty horrifying. Because the schedule, and by the way, we very well could see Drake Maye this season starting because this schedule is brutal. The first 4 games, first 6 games, maybe all the way up to week 9. There's an opportunity here if the Seahawks get a lucky win for the Patriots to be 0-8 going into week 9 against the Tennessee team who bolstered their wide receiver core to help out Will Levis, who got a new offensive tackle in this draft to help out Will Levis. The only thing that they completely blew, in my opinion, was to let Derrick Henry go, or at least not to fill his spot with a better running back than Tony Pollard. But this schedule is pretty brutal. It is like the 2nd or 3rd hardest in the NFL.
I don't think they'll beat Seattle.
So in that case, I'm just going to assume, because I think Tennessee, Arizona, and the Colts are really their only real shot. Maybe the Bears, depending on how Caleb Williams looks, but my guess is probably not. There's only 3 games where you could say maybe. And they are one of a very few amount of teams to not be favored in a single game this year.
Well, that's why Drake Maye is going to get in there sometime this year, and I think they ought to be a little bit more positive about him.
I completely agree with that, but sometimes you got to be honest with your guy. If your guy is terrible, first of all, I wouldn't say anything if that's the case.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say, if he's really that bad, don't say anything. Yeah. Just say the classic stuff. Now, what worries me even more is this Matt Judon situation, because there's a video released, I'm going to play it right now, of Judon and Drake Maye having a conversation, and at some point it gets so bad, so heated, so frustrating apparently, that Matt Judon gets up from where he's sitting, takes off his hat, and walks away and leaves practice. He returned a little bit later in flip-flops, but then eventually left again after getting heated with, I believe, Matt Groh and Elliott Wolf. This is not a good situation because, and by the way, the Patriots have a decent shot to lose Christian Barmore, who's dealing with blood clots, who's out indefinitely. So they're losing some of their top-tier defenders. I think Matt Judon is the best defender on the New England Patriots, but I also think Christian Barmore on the defensive line is probably one of their best interior defenders.
He had a great season last year.
I think this is a massive loss because I think this actually sets it up for a frustration trade for the New England Patriots. I think because if we think about it, Matt Judon played 4 games. He had 4 sacks last year. So we extend that out just based on the average. He would have had 17 sacks last year, which actually would be kind of, up to par with the way he's going. He went 12 and a half, I think 15 and a half. And so if he had 17, that's kind of the way it was looking. But this is an ugly situation because Christian Gonzalez, who was a rookie last year, dealt with an injury. He was probably up to that point when Judon went out. Gonzalez was your guy. And he was there for a very brief amount of time before getting hurt. So
he played very well when he was in there.
Absolutely played very well. So can this defense step it up without Judon creating that pressure on the outside? I don't think so. Jabril Peppers did a great job.
I think they
Kyle
should.
Duggar, great job.
I think they should give him a contract
I do as
because
well.
they're going to have a terrible season, and they're going to have somebody who's playing well, somebody that they can talk about that is a star player. And Judon has that capability, particularly in the defense, the way it's structured. If they keep it the same kind of schemes that they used under Belichick, which I'm pretty sure they will, he's going to be the guy. And right now, if they just upset him and wind up having to trade him, that'll be draft picks, and there'll be another year before we see anybody. So I think defense played well without him last year. Eventually, they got it together, and they were playing extremely well. Tavai came up big. Keon White played well. Barmore played extremely well, but now he has an issue. Gonzalez is back, and he played very well. Duggar, they re-signed him. He's good. Peppers is out there. He's a very good safety. So their defense can be very good, and they need it to be because the offense is going to be poor.
Absolutely.
And so if they expect to be in games, at least, even though they're going to lose most of them, they need to have Judon, and I think they should find a way to work it out with him. He's obviously all upset now, and he's a distraction to the team now too. Being out on the field, arguing with the head coach, and then arguing with the leadership, walking off the field. That's not a good sign. That doesn't do good things for the locker room or for the camaraderie on the team. So I think they should find a way to work something out with him.
Well, Judon spoke recently about that contract situation because he says, and this is a direct quote, I mean, if I got to, honestly, that's again, like I signed my deal, my signature is on it, so I got to play on it. Would I like to? No. Do I think it's my value? No. But again, that's not up to me. Now, he actually did say on a recent podcast how he wrote his own contract and gave it to the Patriots. He hasn't heard back yet, supposedly.
Yeah, well, it's probably got a number in it that they don't like.
Well, his agent actually saw it and said, "Who wrote this for you?" Because apparently it was a very well thought out and very
He doesn't have an agent. He doesn't have.
No,
he
does have an agent, but he wrote it himself. He's a very intelligent guy. Yeah. Now the question is, what do the Patriots think he's worth? Because he's seeing a bunch of these other edge rushers and other interior and outside defenders get pretty big paydays, and he's kind of the outsider here. And we've been through this before. The amount of QB pressures, the QB hits, the sack numbers. Some of the guys who are well above him in the average annual value of their contracts are significantly less than Matt Judon. So they're getting paid more for producing less. So I can understand where Matt Judon's come from. But he is an aging guy on the defensive side.
He was hurt
for
last year.
A team that's not good.
He didn't play much last year.
Right. He only played, I think, 4 games.
Yeah.
So I think the Patriots should give him a contract. But I think that if this situation gets worse, which it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better anytime soon, I do think the Patriots may have a frustration trade in place to send Judon to another team for draft capital. That's what I think really could happen because, like you said, I think this is a distraction. He is your best player, and I think there's an opportunity for you as a New England Patriots team, front office, staff, to get a lot of value and to look to the future to get another defender. Because there are a couple nice defenders in this draft that you could look for. You have a Keon White, his potential replacement as well, already in the building. Now, the loss of Chris Barmore, who's out indefinitely, and Matt Judon, that could be a very bad situation for the Patriots, who currently don't have a great interior seven to begin with, front seven. They're 18th in the league. Just because their guys are good. They're not great. They're not guys who are going to be like, they don't have a Ray Lewis out there. They don't got like a Patrick Willis, a Luke Kuechly, hell, even a Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. You don't have any of that out there. You don't even have a Dante Hightower anymore. You got not big-time players. You have a lot of good guys who worked well with Belichick. And Gerard Mayo and DeMarcus Covington bring that this year? That's going to be a massive question. Which then again, we talked about, you said Drake Maye getting pressured and all of that. Is that representative of a poor offensive line or a really great defense? I think it's the first rather than the latter.
Well, maybe.
That's why I think it's more of a bad offensive line.
Sada Wallace, rookie, has played well in the practices so far. And he may get a shot at being the starting left tackle. So that's a bright spot. And also Kevin Harris has done pretty well in the backup running spot. That's the goal he's going for, to be behind Stevenson. And he's played well too. So those are two bright spots.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.